Hello everyone. Let us start with today's class. Okay, so let me tell you one thing that I don't know why, but my application is crashing on my iPad. Sometime it happens, like yesterday it happened. So, but it get reconnected very soon. So if it happens, don't get upset or panic. Uh, I will connect immediately in few. In a minute. Okay. And the thing is, you people remain connected. Only I got logged off as a host, but in the background, that application is kept running yesterday, what I experienced. Yet not know what is the reason, but let us, if such kind of hurdles come, kindly cooperate. So let us start with today's class. Today I am going to discuss, I will start with the summarization of yesterday, what we have discussed, the example, and then I will move to the software engineering point of view, why object oriented programming paradigm has been invented. Okay, so that aspect, or while designing the object oriented programming language, what was the ideas or what was the requirement from the software development industry that was taken into consideration. Okay, so that aspect I am going to discuss today. Okay, so just a revision about yesterday's example, as there was some queries. Okay, my am I not audible clearly?
You're audible, ma'am.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so uh, there were little queries on the code snippet I have shown yesterday. So I completed that uh, part of the code, and now I am just repeating that example again here. Okay, so if you all look at this, now I added the definition of the member function. Yesterday we have seen that instead of the structure in C, define now we can define a class. Okay, instead of structure we are saying that it is a class. Now this class is having two parts. Okay, we can divide the class into two parts, this part and this part. If you look at the lower part is having the variable names. Okay, variable names with which we are going to describe the any airplane. Okay, so these variables, actually the attribute or the features, generally we name it as a attribute used to define that entity aeroplane. Okay, these are called data members. Okay, and so whereas the functions, the restricted set of the functions which will be having access to these data members. Okay, that is this part. Okay, this these are the functions. Okay, so of course we are going to call it as a function, but they are the special functions. So they are the member function because they are the member of the aeroplane class. Okay, they are the member of the aeroplane class. Okay, so here these are the data members and these are the member function. And now if you look at this class definition, all of you will realize that I have given the definition of this member function there itself, okay, inside the class. Now, if you look at the code snippet on the right hand side, you will realize that I defined one function, okay, the way you might have defined up till now, okay, a non-member function. The belongingness of this function is not towards any class, okay, so this I will call it as a non-member function, okay, it is not a member of any class. Now inside that we have created one instance just like a structure of this class airplane, okay, and then we invoked this member functions, we invoked the member functions, okay, set speed and set at altitude, okay. And now here one more thing you have to remember is, if you look at the access specifier mentioned over here, the functions are specified as a public, whereas data members are specified as a private, okay. This means that from outside this class definition I can invoke this public, whatever is a public, okay, but as this is defined as a private, I cannot access it from the outside class, okay. So these methods, member methods, are defined public. That's why we can invoke those methods in association with some object of that class, okay. So this is an instance, or we can say object of that class. But if you try to access, if you try to access, this is the data member, okay, which is defined as a private, okay, which is defined. So if you try to access this, the system will give you an error. So this is one way how we can define the member function, okay. Now another way, if you look at this class definition, all of you will realize that inside the class, inside the class, I just gave the prototype of these methods, member methods, okay. I just gave the prototype of this member method, whereas I defined these member method outside the class, outside the class, okay. And if you realize, if you all of you can see, I used a very spatial operator, that is a scope resolution operator. So the return type of that method is void, okay. Name is set speed, but whose set speed it is? It is airplanes, it is airplanes set speed method, okay. It is airplanes set speed method, okay. So using the scope resolution operator also, so this two colons is a scope resolution operator, okay. Scope resolution operator, which was not there in C, okay. In the same way, in the same way, we have defined return type, okay, the name of the class whose member function it is, okay. Then scope resolution operator Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you're
Okay.
audible.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I was mentioning about the another way of defining the member function of any class using the scope resolution operator. Okay. Rest of the code is same. Any query? Okay. There are two ways of defining the member function. Okay. See, I just want to give some flavor here. What is class? That is shifting from structure to class. We are going to discuss in detail what are the objects, what are the classes, and why they are required. Okay. Here, just to give a little idea about class definition. As I mentioned in this example, class will have two parts. One is the data member, that is the attribute. Using those attributes, we will be defining or talking about any entity in that environment. Okay. So here I want to talk about the airplane. So I'm describing the airplane only with two attributes, that is altitude and speed. Okay. Then this will I will call data members. So these are the variables. So these variables I will call data member of the class airplane. That is one section. This is one section, right? Another section is member function. Another section is member function. Now in this example, I have defined, I gave the body, definition body inside the class itself. Okay. So this is the definition. Okay, this is the definition of that member function. Now if you look at this another way, inside the class definition I have not put the definition of the member function. The definition of the member function is given outside the class, okay, using this scope resolution operator, okay. I will come to this point again, don't worry. Just to explain you that what are the requirements were there, because of which we were required, or the programming language designer required to shift from the procedural language to the object oriented language. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this again. So let us start with the object oriented philosophy, that is why it is needed. Okay, so as I mentioned in yesterday's class, the any programming language is nothing but a tool which the software application developer use to produce the software solution. Okay, software system solution. Okay, so naturally, if any product need to be manufactured, okay, so there has to be some system development. So system development is nothing, or it refers to all the activity that goes into producing that product. Here we are focusing only on the information system solution, or so here it will be referring to the producing or all the activity that goes into producing the information system solution. Okay, here we want to develop a information system solution. Okay, and on the same line, software system development methodology. Okay, it is nothing but a series of processes lead to the development of an application. If it is any another product, so in the development of that particular product. Okay, so all the processes which need to be carried out with the aim to produce or to manufacture any product. Okay, so here it is an software application. So we will be restricting our discussion only for the software system development methodology. Okay. Now, why software system development methodology is different from any another manufacturing or producing system, development system. Okay. So why it differs? See, once any product, okay, any, you can say, engine of a car or a simple light, once it is produced by the producer, okay, and if you look at a little bigger product like washing machine, dishwasher, or something like that, then they may offer the warranty period warranty period for say 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year. Okay, but as such, they don't require, if any spare part failed, okay, if any spare part failed, they might replace that spare part. Okay, but as such, there is no new requirement come from the customer comes to the manufacturer to change the design or to accommodate the requirement of the customer. As against, if we look at this any software solution, okay, application, all of you will appreciate that new requirement come up. Okay, new requirement come up, and they are required to be accommodated by the manufacturer of the solution software developer. Okay, so this last point, that is, software development process will continue to exist as long as the deployed system is in operation. Okay, so you cannot say that if you are in the development of the software, you cannot say that, okay, once I developed a software, my job has been done. No, it is not the case with the software system. Okay, and here majorly it differs from any another manufacturing system. Okay, any doubt? Okay, so when we say that it has to go through some process, or it has to perform some activity. Okay, so for every system, like every other system, for the software system also there is a system development life cycle. Okay, system development life cycle. So this which consists of the various phases, okay, generally when you talk about the software engineering, you might be people generally talk only for these many steps. I am also going to focus on this, because this will be this part only once. Okay, I think all of you will appreciate. I think there is no mobile Android app. If you want to do some transaction or some activity with the hostel section. Okay, so now if hostel section come with if any administrative person working in that section, if he initiate this project, okay, somebody has to initiate a project to automate many processes in that section or in that department. Okay, that is called the initiation. So that initiation involves more or less more administrative processes, that the person who will initiate that software application develop uh, that project, he might not be an expert from the computer background, but being an administrator, he might have an idea that, okay, instead of this, if we have some application or desktop application or Android based application, then it will ease the job of student as well as the administrative staff also, office staff also. Okay, so he or she might go to the higher authority with a proper proposal, with their little bit a vague idea. Okay, now and of course, cost of development, a tentative cost of development, and so on will be there, who will prepare the initial proposal for that project. Okay, then the higher authority might go for the system concept development. They will think thoroughly that, okay, only this much is required, or we should take into account this aspect also, and that aspect also, that section also. Okay, so a broader vision will be given during the system concept development. Okay, and then they will formulate the tender, mentioning the requirements. They will float the tender. They will evaluate the technical bid. They will no, evaluate the financial bid and everything, right? So that everything will goes into this second and third phase. Okay, once it has been awarded to particular software development in the company, okay, then
Ma'am, you're not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. For how much time I was not audible?
Ma'am, from the last time you reconnected.
Okay. So, do you want me to repeat this slide? This one?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh no. Okay. 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 Uh, as so, this first three steps or phases are more or less towards the administration, right? That the somebody will initiate or will conceive the idea that such kind of application should be there in their organization or in their department or in their section. Okay, and that will be called initiation. Okay, and that will be submitted to the higher authority. Then if they convince with the proposal, then they will go for the system concept development. Okay, they will describe this system more elaborately. Okay, then they might require to do some administrative job, right? Like preparing the complete tender document um, for hiring the developers. I mean, no, some in the industry, software development industry, and all, right? So service provider. Okay, so that will go into the planning phase, right? Publishing the tender. I mean, first the preparing the detailed tender, publishing the tender, then evaluating the technical bid of the service providers, service providers who might have submitted their bid in response to that tender notification. Okay, after evaluating the technical bid, they might go for the of the financial bid. Okay, then they will evaluate that on different aspect, and then they will award the contract. Okay, so all these things goes as administration when somebody initiate a project, and that has been accepted by the higher authority to be implemented in their organization. Okay, then the requirement analysis. um, then after awarding the tender to the particular software development company, then that company will start their work. Okay, so first thing will they try to understand the problem statement by doing the requirement gathering and by performing the analysis of that system. Okay, for which they are required to develop a software solution. Okay, so during this phase, typically all the relevant information will be collected from the customer to develop that product as per their expectations. Okay, and if there is any ambiguity, they will try to resolve that ambiguity during this phase only. Okay, and this is generally done by the business analyst or the project manager by repeatedly by conducting the meetings. Okay, by conducting the meetings with the end user. Okay, and during these meetings only they will try to gather as much as information required to build that software solution. Okay, and they will try to understand. I mean, before actually going into the building that product, they will try to have the core understanding or the knowledge of the product. Okay, which is very important for the developer. Okay, then it goes to the design phase. In design phase, typically whatever the requirement, whatever the requirement they might have gathered in phase number 4, that is requirement analysis. Okay, by repeatedly having the by conducting the meetings and trying to understand the working of that particular organization for which they are supposed to develop a software solution, they will put it on the, okay, and that document is called SRS. Okay, specification requirements, systems requirement specification. Okay, so that document it will be used. Okay, that document will be used as an input. Okay, and the software architect, okay, software architect will use that to to prepare the blueprint of the system. Okay, that will be done during the design phase. Now, in the development phase, actual coding will takes place. Okay, so coding starts during this phase. Okay, and that coding will be based on whatever the design has been prepared in the phase number 5. Okay, based on the design document, that is SRS, they will prepare they will start coding. Coding will start over there. Okay, or in other word, I can say that the programmer will convert those specification mentioned in the design document into the source code, into the source code, that is programming code, during this phase, that is development phase. Okay, now any real life product will be very huge. So that product is divided into various modules, and on those various modules, different teams might be working. Okay, so if different teams are working on that project, so there is a requirement of integration. Okay, integration, and after integration, they are required to test that product for the various use cases. Okay, so the testing will start once the coding and integration of various modules is done. Okay, and if they found some lacunas, they will again roll back to the development and integration phase, and they will try to um, remove those bugs or no defects if they found at all, and they will try to fix them during the testing phase. Okay, now then comes the deployment, that is implementation. Here, deployment. Okay, this deployment means what? That is, once the product is completely tested for the various use cases, which is a very rigorous process, it is deployed in the production environment. Okay, that is, if you are developing it some no application for the hostel section, then that will be deployed in the hostel section, and various users at various level, okay, administrative level, they will try to make use of all the modules. Okay, and they will try to again, the end user will also test. Okay, end user will also test, and then they are required to give the user acceptance testing report also, that whatever was expected, whatever was mentioned during the requirement analysis, that was gathered properly, and that was implemented during the implementation phase, and that those modules or those things are working well. Okay, now once it is deployed and everything at step number 8, then it comes the operation and maintenance. Then it comes the operation and maintenance phase. Okay, so during the operation phase, see, here the software solution system differ from the any another product. Okay, in any another thing, if you talk about the washing machine or dishwasher, you will realize that once they deliver the product, only they are required to maintain the warranty. But if you are not happy with that model, that okay, no, I could have, I should have no washing machine where I can set the temperature manually, but rest of the thing should be set automatically. So if such kind of requirement comes, that company from where you got your washing machine will not entertain you. Okay, but this is not the case with the software system. Once the system is deployed in the environment, either the end user will realize that there are some problems. I mean, there might be some gap between what they expected and what is being developed. Little bit gap, okay, not very huge gap. A little bit gap might be there, or there might be some bug in the software application which need to be fixed. That is one part. Another part is it might happen that the what you can say, the higher authorities administration might have changed the policy, might have changed some policy which need to be accommodated in that application, which is actually a new requirement. Okay, which is actually a new requirement. Okay, but that the vendor who supplied that, who developed that software product, he is required to accommodate that new requirement. There are two types. Either some gaps are there, some some bugs are there that need to be fixed, and here altogether new requirement. As I gave the example of GST. Okay, earlier those organization who were having some software for their financial department, okay, financial software, there were no provision of GST, but from last few years they are required to accommodate that GST. This means that they were required to update some modules of their software to accommodate the new policy of the government of India, that is for the GST. Okay, so it might, so here majorly here the software system solution differs from any another product. Okay, any another product. Okay, and that's why if you look at this figure, you will realize that initial part I have no I have not shown here in very detail. This figure I have taken from the Wikipedia, so you can explore over there. So here, if you see, it starts, any software will start from planning. After planning, it will go to the analysis. From analysis, it will go for creating the blueprint, that is design document. Then it will go into the actual implementation. Of course, here testing is also required, testing and deployment. But assume that implementation, testing and deployment is together here, and then it goes to the maintenance, and it will keep on. Okay, because here only either you will, I mean, the end user will identify some gaps in the requirement and the actual system, or they might identify some bugs, or they might generate some new requirement at all. Okay, in short, what I mean to say that is the software development, software system development is very dynamic, and always undergo major changes. Okay, not only that, but the methods and tool will also differ significantly from those being currently used. Okay, as I said that programming language is a tool. Okay, if the programmer makes use of a sophisticated tool, then he will able to produce that product easily and in a very short time. Okay, in a very short time. And if you look at the current scenario, okay, fine. Okay, so this methods and tool will differ significantly from the currently being used, right? Okay, and if you look at, if you ask any senior programmer or the system manager, I mean, they will always say that, I mean, in little, sometime in little frustration also, ki, no, in computing environment, new tools are coming so quickly, and they are required to no, capture those tools if they want to be in an industry, if they want to be in a industry, right? So every time they are required to be in a learning mode. Okay, and of course we cannot anticipate that which method and tool are going to succeed. Okay, it is just like predicting the future. It is just like a predicting the future. Fine. So, and we know that predicting future is very, very difficult. Few years back, if somebody asked that what will be the future of Python, okay, it was very difficult to comment on that. But now, with a rich library and everything, everybody is working with Python. Okay, because it is very easy to work with. Okay, so always remember that any programming language is a tool for the programmer, for the developer. Okay, any query on this? Today I will stop here. Tomorrow we will see that because of this dynamic and no, the software is always undergoing some major change. How it Okay, any query? Shall I go back? Because once I start annotation, I'm not able to see the chat. So I will go back to the chat box. Okay, some queries are there. No, there is no. And see, whenever I am not audible, na, I request CR to unmute yourself and because today I could not get that I am not audible to you all. Some more message is there on personal chat or something like this. Okay. Okay, there is one query from Vishakha that we define data member later, but used in functions before defining. Won't it give error? No, it will not. Okay, right now we will not talk much about the class and object. After one class, I will be, no, or in the next class mostly, I will come to the class definition and how to create an object. Okay. Okay, when I start annotating my presentation, I could not see the chat. So I will encourage all of you to unmute yourself and ask the query there itself. Okay, so that's all for today.